Radical.
Started to do a deep dive into this, but to be honest, as a working individual, as someone who gets on YouTube from time to time and tries to do my best to actually entertain, my audience and to give my fair and objective thoughts on things like YouTube videos, this is really troubling to me. It is, because Lady Decade, and I knew that she probably would not be 100% happy with my two-part, thoughts on her upload. That's okay. She is entitled to her own thoughts, her own feelings, her own opinions. She's entitled to it, It's fair. It's fair to question things that someone says in their analysis of your YouTube uploads. But here's what's not fair, and here's what I don't like. She made a post, not related to my other tweets today, and to give some background, sadly, there is some weirdo, some creep, that apparently she is having some issues with, and I sincerely hope you get that stuff sorted out, Lady Decade. It sounds pretty bad from what I'm reading here, I guess this is just bad timing sometimes. Imagine going through all this stuff and then you get a critical satire upload like mine, so my condolences. But, to be fair, there's a lot of people online doing critical satire uploads. It's not really this thing with just Radical Rick. There's a lot of people that actually will get online and they'll give their fair and objective thoughts on YouTube uploads. People act like there's just something about Radical Rick, and I get it, because, I guess it's easy to paint me as, well, I'm not jumping ahead here, but I'll get back to that, and it has to do with, my name. She posted on her Twitter a link to part 2 of my thoughts on her OnlyFans Makes Me Angry YouTube upload. She said, not related to my other tweets today, but extremist YouTuber Radical Rick has uploaded a video about me. Now, I always knew he was a lunatic with warped views about Patreon, but I never knew before how sexist he is. Take a look here. And then she links to part 2. Conveniently not part 1, because there was 2 parts. Part 1 was kind of like, I kind of really didn't get into a lot of the criticism until part 2. Part 1, actually, I'd said some great things about Lady Decade, her uploads. I went into it without, I'd never heard of the channel. I went into it fairly and objectively, like I do anything. And I gave my honest thoughts. But apparently, when you give your honest thoughts on YouTube uploads, you are an extremist. There's a lot of intelligent people on my channel and in my community, Lady Decade. There is. Have you seen Comment of the Week? I would probably check that out. There's some really intelligent, thoughtful people. But I guess you don't care. I guess I'm an extremist. I guess everyone here that comes to the channel is an extremist. Now, granted, there's the issues I sometimes get with trolls, and I try to handle that the best I can. Okay? I do. You're gonna get that everywhere. You're gonna get the nuts everywhere. And I don't think at any point I ever said that it was not a bad thing that there are people coming to your channel and leaving disgusting comments. Okay? That is terrible. And I think you should deal with those people appropriately. All right? I personally like to keep things classy, specifically when I am... I don't know if there's a perfect way to do it. I try to stay classy, but also I try to be funny for my audience. Hey, it's a hard thing to do. It's not easy like talking about retro video games. That is pretty freaking easy. That's pretty easy, okay? Critical satire of my type is very difficult. Very difficult. And I don't think I get the credit that I deserve sometimes, in the short time frame that I have, because I actually work for a living, I don't live off of Patreon donations, or that's not a big part, the donos. Oh yeah, is that one thing that makes me an extremist? My thoughts and feelings on Patreon and e-beggars? Yeah. I just thought that it was kind of common sense that YouTubers shouldn't expect donations, but, That's just me. I'm an extremist. Justin Silverman even stopped by and said, dude, congrats. I got like 10 from him. Get your shit together. 10, have I made 10 uploads talking about Justin Silverman? Like, there's people that come to my channel, Justin, and they know a lot more about you than I do. So, me personally, I mean, maybe I've said a couple things about you and everything. Not a whole lot. I don't think anything that's not, fair, right? But it's kind of weird Justin Silverman stopping by. Now a lot of people in my community, like, they don't like the direction of AVGN. I mean, what you gonna do though? What you gonna do? There's a lot of people, Justin Silverman, there's a lot of people that criticize AVGN and Green Wave and all that. But there's also some kind things I've said about the nerds, sometimes the uploads, and again, it's kind of difficult what I do on YouTube. It's kind of difficult. It's not the easiest thing in the world. And then Lady Decade has some crying emojis. Let's see here. She says, don't worry, Rick is not a problem. He just embarrasses himself online daily. If anything, he is doing me a favor by just further proving my points made in the original video. Okay. I don't think I was in complete disagreement with that upload. I don't think I was. I can't recall every single thing I said, but I'm pretty sure I was pretty on point. I think the thing that she has the issue with is when I actually bring up, and the thumbnail, I was a little classier because I actually covered stuff up. Again, this is difficult. Like, how do you not be labeled a sexist when this is like a minefield? It's like a minefield, right? But I'm not afraid to step on that minefield. I'm not. My general thought is, are people paying attention? I think this is going to be really good. My general thought is, if you are really having an issue, if you're having an issue with guys coming to your channel and objectifying you, if you're having that issue with guys, creepy weirdos coming to your channel and objectifying you, here is a thought, okay? How about in a YouTube upload, you don't go out of your way to frame parts of yourself, right? How about you don't do that? It's pretty simple. Pretty simple. There's a lot of guys that came to my comment section, I guess they're all extremists too, saying, well, how do you not know what you're doing? Like, how do you not know? How can you not be self-aware? Like, how do you not? See? It's like the thumbnails. It's kind of like a dead giveaway. Because if you were at all self-aware, Lady Decade, you would know, that because you are a pretty female, you are going to get a lot of people giving you attention. Because you are a pretty female, this comes with being a pretty female. And there's a lot of guys out there that are really sad and they're really lonely, and they're going to come to your YouTube channel and they're going to consider donating to you because of things. I think that's a fair assessment. Not everybody. There's a lot of people that probably come to your channel and they love your channel and they feel that you're worthy of donating money to on your Patreon, which is fucking stupid. That is just fucking stupid. I'm sorry. Like, I can go to where I work, I can ask 100 people, hey, would all of you consider donating to Lady Decade? And they would say no. Donating to YouTubers is just stupid, Rick. Why would we do that? Why would we work hard here and waste our money on YouTubers? That seems to be like the thing that triggers a lot of YouTubers with Patreon the most. The common sense of it. Why? Why do people do it? But yet I'm the extremist for being the guy that comes out and says, yeah, it's stupid. Let me be one of the few YouTubers that does not have a Patreon and never wants to have a Patreon. And one more thing. I tell you what, I was tired. I was very exhausted from the day. I got home and I'm feeling a little better now. You know why? Because sometimes motivation makes me feel better. You got one You got one lick on me. You got one sting on me. You got one zinger of sorts on me, Lady Decade. And I'll be fair, okay? If I was an extremist, when I actually point out that you got one zinger on me that I will try to correct possibly, you said I was spreading misinformation by saying I have a problem with sex workers when I've never once said such a thing. Okay, all right, how about this? Time permitted, you know, because, hey, Justin, just like James Rolfe, I don't know if I have time, since Justin is somehow involved in this. How about I take people on a journey and in specific detail at some point in the future, I outline your contradiction. There might be more than the one contradiction, okay? Time permitted. Again, you know, if I got time. That's a fair point. Saying that, you know, it's lazy content. Hey, you know, I have multiple uploads and I only spend usually an hour. My apologies. My apologies. I have a day job. This is just kind of a hobby for me. Okay? The world will never see what Radical Rick on YouTube could actually be potentially, what I could potentially become, basically. Even that, you know, I kind of flubbed up a little bit there. I don't write a script, but I think a lot of my audience appreciates the fact that, you know, I spend time that I really don't have on YouTube entertaining them. Now, I didn't do myself any favors when I chose to name my channel Radical Rick, because, you know, people can come by and they could easily point and say, that guy's an extremist because he's a radical, right? But, I mean, I love the Ninja Turtles. Maybe I could actually incorporate a Ninja Turtle in the logo. That might actually fix things, because I don't like being called an extremist. But I think it's really easy for people that actually just want to disregard my actual legit criticism and just say, well, that guy, he's a radical. Oh, radical and everything. How about I just put maybe a Ninja Turtle in my logo? Thoughts? Would anyone be cool with that? You know, because I get really sick and tired of being called, you know, an extremist, just because part of my YouTube name is Radical. Okay, so one last thing. The core of my criticism, I think, on that Lady Decade upload was that she kind of overdid her anger, whereas I thought she wasn't like that angry about it. If you're that angry about some people coming to your channel and leaving some gross comments, then, you know, would you continue to kind of like, not egg it on, but would you actually in an upload like frame yourself? Would you do, literally, like with your arms you framed yourself? I mean, would you do that? I don't think you would. And you know what I base that on? I base that on my history of knowing women my entire life. Like, I was raised by women. I know women. I know more how women think. I could actually have some uploads explaining to the fellas how women think. I know a lot more about women than your average male, so when I see it, okay, it's a woman actually that maybe is at a 2 or a 3 on annoyance, taking it to 9 or 10 for a YouTube upload. The ironic thing is, I feel that things escalated very quickly, because if she actually had a post after really kind of looking at my uploads fairly and objectively, as I looked at her upload fairly and objectively, she would leave a link to part 1 and 2, not just part 2. And that's my fault for cutting it up in 2 parts. You know, I was just kind of like, Justin Silverman, hey, you and James, you know what it's like. I didn't have enough time to finish everything at once. I should have. And, you know, she was an opportunist because she left a link to post 2, part 2. So a little bit sneaky there, I think, admittedly, a bit sneaky, because I'll tell you what, if she left a link to part 1, then there really wouldn't be much of this hubbub over it, because part 1 was actually the part where I was saying some really nice positive things about her and her channel. But I guess the thing is, it's hard to label me as an extremist and a lunatic if you're going to actually, you know, post part 1 and 2 and kind of actually just give people the full experience, right? But part 2, yeah, that was where I became a little more critical. But here's what I think. I think I spoke the truth, as I always do. And hey, Lady Decade, it is your right to post whatever you'd like to and give your thoughts, more power to you. Okay, girl power to you. More power to you. But you know what? It's also my right to get on here and defend myself when I'm called terrible names.